It very much feels like at the moment I'm covering all the cars within the automotive world that you may never have heard of. And today I'm back with another. This is the XPeng G6. So what is that? Well, it's a competitor for the Tesla Model Y. And I bet you're sick of hearing that. It feels like one of the most overused phrases in the whole of the automotive industry. Is it better than the Tesla Model Y? But the thing is despite Elon Musk having some rather controversial views and not really being my favourite person at the moment, there's a reason why we've not covered the Tesla Model Y, he has set the benchmark for electric vehicles. Both the Tesla Model 3 and the Model Y are some of the best, most value for money products that you can buy if you want something which can go far and charge fast. But I want to find a car which can rival the Tesla Model Y, and that's why the G6 makes me really excited. This car has impressive charging that we've only really seen from Korean brands like Hyundai and Kia, but also it comes with a ton of specification like we've seen in many Chinese models. But is it as good as the Model Y? Well, that's what we're going to find out in today's video. Hi guys, my name's Tish and welcome back to my channel Auto Social UK. In today's video, I'll tell you everything about the XPeng G6. So if that sounds good, then please keep watching. And if you like new car reviews and car content, well, you're in the right place. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. So why don't we start with the very basics? Who are XPeng? What is the G6? Where does it sit in the model lineup? And what are the key facts and figures? XPeng Motors are officially known as Guangzhou Xiaopeng Motors Technology Co., and they're a Chinese electric vehicle manufacturer founded in 2014. Headquartered in Guangzhou, China, with offices in the US and Germany. The company is publicly traded on both the New York and Hong Kong stock exchanges and is backed by major investors like Alibaba and even the Volkswagen Group. The G6 is a mid-sized electric SUV built on XPeng's SEPA 2.0 platform. It features 800-volt electrical architecture, enabling ultra-fast charging. It's available in 3 different versions. So there's a standard range, a long range, and then there's also a performance variation. The standard range and the long range models both have a single electric motor, with the standard range producing 255 horsepower and the long range topping it up to 282 horsepower, although it has got a larger battery so it is heavier. This allows them to accelerate from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 6.9 and 6.7 seconds respectively, which is comparable to popular models like the Tesla Model Y. Now, in terms of range, the standard range version has a 66 kilowatt-hour battery, and that enables it to travel up to 270 miles on a single charge. Now, the long-range model has a larger 87.5 kilowatt-hour battery, and this tops it up to 354 miles. These figures are pretty competitive with other electric vehicles on the market. The performance version is a little bit different. That actually features an extra electric motor, which increases power to 469 horsepower with all-wheel drive, and that allows it to do the same 0 to 62 sprint in 4.1 seconds. The Tesla Model Y is a little bit quicker than the G6, but it still has a noticeably enjoyable driving experience, and it's still able to achieve 342 miles. That 800-volt architecture supports fast charging at a maximum power of 280 kilowatts, allowing it to charge from 10 to 80% in under 20 minutes. That's 30 kilowatts faster than the Tesla Model Y. It also features 11 kilowatt AC charging and can take up to 7.5 hours using a 7.4 kilowatt home charger, or 11 hours and 49 minutes with a domestic wall plug. There was a point in the last 10 years where silver cars really seemed to have their day. They were everywhere and it was the most popular colour. But I've always found silver to be a little bit boring. But actually, I think it really suits the XPeng, and I'm glad that I've not got it in white or black. The silver works really well with the contrasting elements. And I think the nice thing with the XPeng G6 is, unlike the Tesla Model Y, which to me looks a little bit like an oversized white good with no personality, there are some really nice design details on this car which just elevate it a little bit further. Don't get me wrong, it does have a very simplistic design, which I know a lot of people will love. You've got the slim headlamps with that light bar along the front, with the X in the middle. And you've also got a very simple overall shape, but there are some nice elements which just take it a little bit further. I really like this grille at the bottom. It has those lovely little hexagonal shapes which bounce off the light. It almost looks like you've got a chrome-tipped grille when it's in the bright sunshine. And also, this paint colour, though it's silver, it has that fleck in it where when the sun hits it, it almost goes a little bit goldy in the light. You've also got just these black parts at the bottom here, which are near the main head beams, and they just give it a little bit of something different to break up the rest of the design. I also really like this trim, which continues from that black bumper at the bottom and just over the top of the wheel arches. But you haven't got black cladding, it sits in between the silver wheel arch and the body, just giving it a little bit of a design that I've not seen on many other models. You also have these really nice two-tone alloy wheels, and I like this XPeng design on the front wing. I actually think it looks really stylish, and on this you'll see two cameras. So you have a camera here at the front and also a camera here at the back at this little panel that jolts out, and that's going to give you great visibility of the side of the vehicle and also your wheels. But again, on these door mirrors you'll also find more cameras underneath the door mirrors. This car is packed full of driver aids and parking aids, which make it so easy to both drive and park. It's also fully autonomous and set up for autonomous driving. Of course, that isn't yet currently legal within the UK, but this car has all of those functions built in and some really nice gadgets, which I'll show you later on when we drive it. But why don't we get in and I'll tell you about the interior. Now, just like the Model Y, it has pop-out door handles, which if I had the key in my pocket, they would pop out on your approach. But in this instance, you just have to push with one finger and pull out with another. I will be honest, pop-out door handles are not my favourite, but so far, these have worked very well. And it's certainly in here where you realise that they've really gone for a simplistic styling when it comes to the G6. This to me very much feels like an executive car. It would make an excellent company car. It's not particularly exciting for families, although there is plenty of space and storage, which we'll talk about. It feels a tiny bit on the safe side when it comes to design. Of course, this model we have here is fully black with black leather on the centre console and also on these seats. Although these seats, to me, feel very, very high quality. You have got the perforated down the centre. You've got these little dippings of chrome as well. They feel quite nice. You've also got this very much perforated steering wheel. I don't know if this is a little bit too much. I would have liked it if they'd stopped the perforated on the inside and then just kept it more simple when it comes to the main bulk of the steering wheel. But at least they are going for something a little bit different from what else we've seen currently on the market. Now, the rest of the setup, it does feel very familiar as to what you'll find in Teslas, BYDs, going for this simplistic design with this centre console with storage underneath. You'll find a USB and USB-C charger back there. You've also got some storage inside this armrest, which is absolutely massive. You could fit loads in there. And then you get the two wireless charging pads up front, which I really like. Now, the good thing about these charging pads is they're massive, so you can fit two large phones side by side, but also they're cooled as well. So they'll blow air onto your phone and keep it cool, which I think is brilliant. And just on the edge of this, you'll also just see the XPeng logo. Everything also feels super soft. This leather is so soft, you've got stitching down the side of it, and you've also got really soft leather atop the dashboard as well. Not quite as nice as the centre console, but then how much do you go around stroking the dashboard? You also have a sound bar which goes along the centre as well, which I really quite like. And then just dippings of chrome, not too much chrome. And they're the positives. There are a few negatives, and we'll start with air vents. It feels like a little bit of an over modernisation. So all of your air conditioning and climate control settings will all be found on the touchscreen. And to control everything with the air conditioning and the climate control, it's all done in there. There's no physical buttons, which is a shame. You can use voice control, but if you want to actually physically use controls, it's all on the screen, which is a little bit disappointing, including the air vents. So there isn't any ways that you can move the air vents physically. You have to actually go onto the screen, and then you can change the direction of the air vents in the screen. This is just a little bit of a fiddly way of doing it, but I think it's one of those things that you'll get used to quite quickly when it comes to this car. It just takes some time to know exactly where to find everything, but I'm sure that shouldn't take too much time. Now, let's talk about this screen. It's actually a really, really nice configuration. So you've got it landscape rather than portrait like you'll find in the Tesla, and it feels super responsive, and you can tell a lot of technology has gone into this screen. It's very clear in its layout, and it does feel very, very modern in the fact that you have all of these different apps that you can play around with. It very much feels like a tablet rather than a car touchscreen. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's completely up to you. But you'll find things like mindfulness space. So you can change some of the configurations to be able to have ambient music playing, or sleep space. So if we hit sleep space...
Adjust your seat mode manually to start sleep.
So when you hit that, instantly it puts you in this almost like camping mode. So that if you decide that you want to sleep whilst you're charging your car, or if you want to take a nap, then you can, which I know is a little bit novel and not many people think about sleeping in their car. But say if you're working away and you have a break and you want to have a little bit of a nap, then you could actually set this on your screen. You can put your seat right back, and it creates a really, really lovely ambient space. It's a little bit novel. You even have an alarm there, so you can turn an alarm on and make sure that you don't miss your next meeting or when you're having a little nap in your car. Probably if you're watching this and you're not into technology, you think this all sounds a little bit silly, but it all comes down to personal preference. And I think if you want a car which is packed full of technology, then actually it's a great option. Right, I think I should jump into the driver's seat, and I've told you about the main facts or figures, but let's talk about how it drives, because I think that's quite important. What's interesting about this XPeng G6 is it does feel like it is a carbon copy of the Tesla Model Y. Of course, it has a few things which differentiate it, and there are some positives. I really like the fact that you do have a screen in front of you where you can see the main of your displays. So that's a positive thing. I'm glad that they don't just have the main central screen. But the negative is it seems with these cars, when they go around copying something which has been really popular, like the Tesla Model Y, they end up copying the negatives as well. And a real negative of the Tesla Model Y, especially in its previous generation, not the one that's just come out, is that it was a little bit hard in its driving experience. And it seems like this is the same thing. It has quite a brittle ride. It's okay when you're on a smooth road like this, a little bit of a quicker road. But if you get on a back road with some potholes, you really do find it kind of fidgeting around. And that's in the front. So I can imagine that it's going to be even more fidgety in the rear. And it's the same thing as with the Tesla Model Y. If you're a family and you're looking for something which is going to be really smooth and comfortable on long journeys, then perhaps you want to look at something like the Kia EV9. But if you're looking for something which does have an engaging driving experience, then they've done a really good job with this car. The steering is pretty well weighted, actually. It's not as light as I was expecting. It's not exactly heavy. It doesn't give you a real connection with the road, but it's been pleasingly accurate in its directions. But what I will say is actually XPeng have done a pretty good job at hiding its weight when it comes to road handling. It may be a little bit brittle in its driving experience, but actually when it comes to the corners, it doesn't lean too much. You do lose a little bit of the connection. It's a little bit vague as you turn the corners, but it doesn't lean and it doesn't feel heavy and wallowy. It actually hides its weight well in that aspect. It definitely feels like there are pros and cons when it comes to the drive of this car. The G6 is packed full of all the latest safety and driver aids, but as we know, sometimes these can be a little too intrusive. However, XPeng have a handy feature that I've been enjoying, in which the first time you exceed the speed limit, a pop-up appears in the right-hand side of the screen, asking if you'd like to disable future warnings. Plus, there's also other features that I found super handy whilst living with this car, and that is the reversing camera. So as I pop it into reverse, you get this wonderful rear view, which which is super clear, but you may think, well, I want a 360 view. So you hit 360 and then you get this fantastic, not only 360, but also you get this clear view as well. So you can see right through the car. Now, as I reverse, as I come up to something behind me, it actually gives you a description of how close you are to those. So obviously it's a little bit confused because it's grass. And then if I hit parking as well, what we're going to do is we're going to see if the XPeng can park the car. There's not actually any designated parking spaces where we are at the moment, but I'm just going to use it as a little bit of a demonstrator. So as we are reversing now, it should start to come up if there's any available parking spaces. So it's picked this one here. I could also move it to some other spaces as well, but I'm going to hit Start Auto Park, completely let go of the brake, and then the car will entirely take over, including indicating where I'm going as well. So it's put on the indicator to let people know where I'm moving to. And I didn't even have to engage reverse there. It just put it into reverse itself. And then, voila. It has perfectly put me in its space. To be fair, it's not actually a real space, but either way, that was super simple. Now, when it comes to boot space, it's very impressive compared to pretty much everything but the Tesla Model Y. That's one area where the Tesla just has most of its competition pinned. But this car has 571 litres of boot space, which is very good. That's more than you'll find in the Renault Scenic, in the Peugeot E3008. And as you can see, I've currently got it full of clutter, which I completely forgot to take out. But you know what? We're going to run with it anyway, because I think it shows how much space there is. When it comes to the space, it goes back quite far, so that's where you're going to find the majority of it, but it's not particularly wide in its opening. That's certainly where the Tesla Model Y has this car pinned, because that does have a much wider opening. That car also has more space underneath the boot floor as well. In the XPeng, it does have a little bit of boot storage underneath, but it isn't a huge amount. But it's enough to pop away your charging cables if you don't want them loose in the boot like I have them here. In terms of practicality, you've got a retractable parcel shelf, but I will say this doesn't feel the highest quality compared to some of its other rivals, and you do have a little bit of 12-volt charging just on one side. But overall, there's not a huge amount of amenities, so there's no little clever hooks or anything like that. It's a bigger space than you'll get in the Skoda Elroq, but the Skoda Elroq is definitely more configurable when it comes to boot space. But if you don't really worry what shape or size your boot comes in, then this shouldn't be a problem. But what about rear space? Well, I think this speaks for itself, doesn't it? As you can see, I have got so much space in the back here. It is really, really impressive. One thing you do have to be aware of, though, is very lovely. This car has memory seats in the front and back, and also comfort access. So as somebody gets in the front and the back of this car, it does put the seat down and back to let them in. The only problem is if you've got people in the back, then it might just start to squish their legs a little bit. So you need to be aware of that. But even when it comes to children, if that seat was right back, they're going to have no issues at all. You've got a lovely flat floor, so you definitely won't be fighting for leg space. You've got 2 USB-C charge ports. You haven't got 3-zone climate control. I really noticed that's something that not a lot of models are doing nowadays, but I think it's so handy. A lot of the time, children want to be a different temperature to the adults in the front, so it's a shame that you don't have tri-zone. You also don't have heated seats, which is often something you're starting to find in the back of many of this car's rivals. But other than that, it is very good. Heaps and heaps of space. You've got a pull-down armrest in which you have just these little pop-out cup holders, so that feels very nice. Not any additional storage though. I would have liked if you kind of could open up that armrest. But other than that, you'll find ISOFIX fitments on both of the outer edges of the seats. You've got quite a bit of storage in the doors to pop a drink or some other items. And you have got pockets on the backs of the doors, but you haven't got anywhere to pop your mobile phone, which may be a little bit of an issue. What I will say is in the back here, it's perfectly acceptable, it's comfortable, it's spacious, but it's a shame with a car which is so modern and has so many gadgets for the front seat passengers that you haven't got any little gadgets when it comes to the rear. The XPeng G6 starts at just under £40,000, making it a very competitive option, priced similarly to the entry-level Hyundai Ioniq 5 and around £5,000 less than the basic Tesla Model Y. Crucially, this also means it avoids the UK's expensive car tax supplement in years 2 and 6 of ownership. However, only the standard range model in the basic appliance white falls under the threshold. If you opt for the long-range battery or choose a different paint colour, the price increases to over £40,000. Even so, the long-range version still comes in under £45,000, which remains strong value compared to rivals from Tesla or Hyundai. Whilst I've enjoyed my time spent with the G6, ultimately, I don't think this car is for me. When it comes to a car, I like it to have a bit more personality. I like to have something a bit more interesting going on the interior and the exterior. This car has just been simplified a little bit too much to my taste. But that's the target audience they're going for. They're going for those people that want the simplicity that you get with Tesla models. And there's a lot of people out there. People who want company cars which are very sleek and stylish without any of the fuss of having jazzy seats or any of those diamond elements that we've seen on some of the cars that I've reviewed recently. If you're looking for a Tesla Model Y, but you are put off by the likes of Elon Musk and you just want to go for something that's a bit different, then this could be a great option. There's a lot of pros and cons, but when it comes to electric vehicles, usually you will find a lot of pros and cons. But let me know, what do you think of the XPeng G6? Pop it in the comments down below. I really hope you have enjoyed this video today, guys. If you have, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more, then you're in the right place. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Until next time, see you later.